Most people do not suffer because life is too hard. They suffer because their mind never stops moving. Some people lie awake at night replaying conversations that already ended. Some people sit in silence but hear 100 different versions of the same problem inside their head. One version says try again. Another says give up. Another says you will fail no matter what. The hardest thing about life is not pain itself. It is the way the mind keeps returning to it again and again. Overthinking does not always look loud. Sometimes it looks like silence. A person sitting still, staring at nothing, while their thoughts run faster than time. The strange part is this. Most of the things people overthink never even happen. Yet the mind treats them like they already did. Fear grows quietly in that space. Doubt builds slowly there. And slowly, a person stops trusting their own decisions. What if the problem is not your life? What if the problem is the way your mind never lets your life settle long enough for you to see clearly? What if the thing making you feel stuck is not your situation, but the constant noise inside your thoughts? My name is Ian, and this story is about a man who lived inside his own mind for so long that he forgot what peace felt like. And it begins with a small object that most people ignored. A compass. Not a perfect one. Not a modern one. It was old, scratched, and slightly broken. The needle never stayed still. It kept spinning, even when everything around it was calm. People in the village called it useless. It belonged to a man named Rafik, a quiet repair worker who lived at the edge of a dusty town surrounded by long empty roads and fading fields. Rafik found the compass years ago in a broken toolbox he bought for almost nothing. He did not fix it. He did not throw it away. He kept it on his wooden table. And every day, he watched it spin. The needle never pointed north. It never settled. It just kept moving like it was searching for something it could never find. Just like him. Rafik was not always like this. There was a time when his mind was simple. He worked, he ate, he slept. But over time, life added pressure. One failure became 10 thoughts. One mistake became 100 questions. Did I choose the right path? Did I say the wrong thing? What if I lose everything? What if I never recover? His mind stopped living in the present. It started living in possibilities that hurt more than reality. He stopped trusting his decisions. Even small choices became battles. What to eat? What to fix first? What to say in a conversation? Everything felt heavy. And the worst part was this. He never told anyone. Outside, he looked normal. Inside, he was always moving, always thinking, always stuck in loops that never ended. The compass on his table became something he stared at often. Because it felt familiar. A thing that never settled. Just like his thoughts. Rafik lived in a small workshop near an old road that vehicles barely used. The walls were cracked. The roof made soft sounds when wind passed through. Rain entered through small gaps during storms. Dust covered everything during dry days. Time felt slow there. But his mind did not. His mind ran like a storm that never stopped. Every morning, he tried to focus on work. Fix broken radios. Repair old clocks. Weld small metal parts for villagers who came and left without much talk. But even while working, his mind drifted. What if this repair fails? What if they complain? What if I lose customers? What if I am not good enough? He would tighten screws with shaking thoughts. He would clean circuits while imagining failure. Slowly, mistakes started happening. A radio stopped working after repair. A clock ran too fast. A customer left without paying fully, saying the work felt careless. The villagers began to notice. It's useless, one man said. Maybe he is losing his touch, said another. Take your things somewhere else, a woman muttered after her broken radio still did not work properly. Rafik did not argue. He only nodded. But inside, his mind became louder. Maybe they are right. Maybe I am losing everything. Maybe I was never good at this. And the compass kept spinning on the table, like it agreed with every thought he had. Days passed like this. Slow. Heavy. Repeating. He stopped going out except for work. He stopped talking unless necessary. Even food tasted like something he was too distracted to notice. At night, he sat alone in the dim light of a small bulb. And he watched the compass. Spinning. Never stopping. One evening, a strong wind passed through the town. The sky turned dark early. Clouds gathered like heavy thoughts pressing down from above. Rain began slowly, then harder, then without control. Rafik stayed inside his workshop. That night, something strange happened. The compass did not just spin. It shook. The needle moved violently, as if something inside it was breaking apart. Rafik leaned closer. For the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar. Curiosity. He picked it up. The metal was cold. The glass slightly cracked. Inside, the needle kept spinning but unevenly, like it was trying to stop but could not find the direction. He turned it in his hand. And then he noticed something. Every time he moved it near a certain corner of the workshop, the spinning slowed slightly. Not fully. But a little. He tried again. Same result. Something in that corner affected it. He stood up slowly and walked toward the corner. It was filled with old tools, forgotten machines, broken clocks, and unused metal parts. Dust covered everything. He moved items one by one. And behind them, he found something hidden. A small metal box. Old. Rusted. Locked. His hands paused. His mind did what it always did. What if it is worthless? What if it is broken? What if opening it will be a waste of time? But something deeper pushed him forward. He opened it. Inside was not treasure. Not money. Not gold. Only papers. Handwritten notes. Drawings of compasses. And one sentence repeated again and again in different handwriting. A steady mind sees the right direction. Rafik sat down slowly. Rain continued outside. His mind went quiet for the first time in a long time. Not because the thoughts disappeared. But because something shifted. He kept reading. The notes belonged to an old engineer who once worked on navigation tools. Someone who studied how broken instruments sometimes reflect something deeper than failure. One page stood out. It said this. A compass does not lose direction because the world changes. It loses direction when internal force becomes stronger than external truth. Rafik read it again. And again. That night, he did not sleep. For the first time, he did not overthink his past mistakes. He studied the compass instead. He realized something simple. The compass was not useless. It was disturbed. Something inside it was interfering with its natural state. And then a question appeared in his mind. What if my mind is the same? What if I am not broken? What if I am just disturbed? The next morning, Rafik made a decision. He created a small daily habit. 1 minute of stillness. No fixing. No working. No planning. No thinking ahead. Just sitting with the compass. Watching it. Not trying to control it. Not trying to stop it. Just observing. At first, it was impossible. His thoughts attacked him immediately. You are wasting time. You are behind. You are failing. But he stayed. 1 minute. That was all. Days passed. 1 minute became 2. 2 became 5. Slowly, something changed. Not in the compass. In him. He began noticing thoughts without following them. A thought would come. He would see it. Then let it pass. Like watching dust move in light. The compass still spun. But he stopped reacting to it. And strangely, the more he stopped reacting, the more stable he felt. But the village did not notice this change yet. They still saw the same man. Quiet. Slow. Distracted. One day, a young boy from the village came into his workshop. The boy had a broken bicycle. He was frustrated. "My father says I should fix it myself," the boy said. "But I keep thinking I will break it more." Rafik nodded. He looked at the bicycle. Then at the boy. Then at the compass. He said softly, "Your problem is not the bicycle." The boy frowned. Rafik continued, "You are trying to fix it while your mind is already predicting failure." The boy stayed silent. Rafik handed him the compass. "Hold this." The boy did. The needle spun. The boy laughed. "It is broken." Rafik said nothing. He placed his hand gently over the boy's. "Watch it without judging it." The boy tried. Slowly, his laughter stopped. He focused. After a while, he asked, "Why is it spinning like this?" Rafik replied, "Because something inside it is unstable." The boy looked confused. Rafik added, "Your thoughts are like this too." Something in that moment shifted for the boy. He did not fully understand it. But he felt it. For the first time, he saw his thoughts as something separate from himself. Days later, the boy returned. He had fixed his bicycle. Not perfectly. But enough to ride. And he was smiling. "I stopped thinking too much," he said. Rafik smiled quietly. And for the first time, he realized something important. Healing does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like less noise in the mind. But Rafik's biggest transformation was still ahead. One evening, while sitting in silence, he noticed something unusual. The compass needle was not spinning as violently as before. It still moved. But it slowed. Not because the compass changed. Because he had changed. And in that moment, the truth became clear. The compass was never the problem. It was a mirror. A reflection of disturbance. Just like his thoughts. A wise old man from the village once told him something years ago, but he only remembered it now. You do not need to fight your mind. You need to understand it. Simple words. But they carried weight now. Rafik finally understood. Overthinking does not disappear through force. It dissolves through awareness. Not control. Not pressure. Just awareness. The compass had been teaching him all along. Not to chase direction. But to stop reacting to every movement. To allow stillness to return naturally. Months passed. Rafik became different. Not louder. Not more successful in the eyes of others. But calmer. Steadier. More present. People noticed. The same man who once made frequent mistakes now worked with precision. The same man who once looked lost now seemed focused. The village boy told others about him. Not as a repairman. But as someone who helped him understand his own mind. One evening, another man from the village came to Rafik. "I heard you fixed yourself," he said. Rafik smiled. "I did not fix myself." He looked at the compass. "I just stopped believing every movement meant something was wrong." That man left quietly. And something inside him stayed behind. A question. Later that night, Rafik sat alone again. The compass was still there. Still moving slightly. But it no longer controlled his emotions. He realized something powerful. Peace is not when thoughts stop. Peace is when thoughts stop controlling you. Before the story ends, there is one more truth. Most people think overthinking is intelligence. The truth is, overthinking is fear pretending to be control. And life works differently. Clarity does not come from thinking more. It comes from thinking less and observing more. One day, the village boy returned again. This time, he was not confused. He was calm. He said, "I notice my thoughts now. They still come, but I do not follow all of them." Rafik nodded. That was the real transformation. Not silence. But distance from noise. The boy had learned what the compass had been showing all along. A moving needle does not define direction. Stillness does. As time passed, Rafik's workshop became a place people visited not only for repairs, but for clarity. He never gave long advice. He only showed them the compass. And asked them to watch it without judgment. Some understood quickly. Some did not. But everyone left with the same question inside their mind. What if my thoughts are just like that needle? And slowly, life became lighter for many who came. Not because their problems disappeared. But because their reaction to problems changed. And that is where real change begins. At the end of it all, Rafik understood the final lesson. You do not need to stop every thought. You only need to stop believing every thought. Maybe life is not destroying you. Maybe your mind is just spinning like a broken compass trying to find direction. And maybe, just maybe, you are closer to clarity than you think. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs this reminder today.